We talked about this. All right, let's get started on Steven Crowder.
Let's jump into this first story. We have this stopbigcon.com.
Yeah.
Louder with Crowder, Stop Big Con, stay in Mug Club, or join anew. Enter your email below. So let's get started and talk about from the beginning. You, most people are familiar with the story.
Yeah.
I want to make sure as we get this started, I want to make sure there's important contextual understanding. People have asked why it's so important that, and why is everybody interested in this story? Why have we talked about it so much? First, I will say, well, I'm biased. I worked for big corporations. I've run my own company. I have this passion for how the media companies operate, how I operate my media company, my vision for the future. And I know so much about this. It's something I care about. When I hear about it, I'm just driven to want to understand more, talk about it, share these ideas. But it's more than just that. I just want to make sure that my bias is clear. It's that I, for one, have taken issue with the establishment media, the traditional media systems, how they operate with contracts. And so trying to build something different, I see what Crowder announced and what he's talking about, and I ideologically agree. So this conversation could change the shape of how media moves forward as the corporate media system is dying, firing people, laying people off, and an independent ecosystem is emerging with these networks. Which form is it going to take? It could go completely corporate, it could go completely independent, it could be a mix of both. But this is a conversation that is extremely important moving forward. So we're hanging out with Steven Crowder and Gerald, of course, to talk about all this.
The business side more. I don't really take care of the finances as much. But
what's the story here? What's the story?
Well, first off, let me set something up off the bat. I want to make sure that everyone here knows. Like, I know that you guys have made very clear that you're monetized on YouTube because you believe that you can fight against big tech by sort of operating to some degree within the rules. But you've been very transparent about it. And so I don't want you to think that that is at all the same as what I have a problem with. And I mean, we can go back to a few things. Look, it really comes down to what's right. It really comes down to what the truth is. And this is something that's been a long time coming. Gerald actually came on as CEO because we're being batted around so long. This is years and years in the making. I get the point with corporate media.
Why can't you just be honest, bro? Like, just why? Why can't you just be like, yeah, I wanna fucking build a media list, you know? Everything has to be about like fighting the big guy. Bitch, we know the big guy's on your back. All these dudes in the same room saying the same bullshit. Like, oh man, we're fighting against all these enemies, these shadowy enemies. It's like, bro, what do you mean? Like, people who control society give you money all the fucking time, okay? And they give you money because they like what you're saying. They like that you are saying things, okay? They like that you are saying things that they agree with. It's the racism shit, but not because they're personally racist. I don't think a lot of these billionaires are personally, individually like, oh man, I love how fucking anti-black these guys are. It's because that kind of racism reinforced in society is a great distraction, is a great divider, okay, of the working class, and it's a great distraction. That's it. For people who say like, oh man, like, you know, the fucking, all these like billionaire CEOs, they're like individually so incredibly racist. Like, not all of them are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to matter. It's a very liberal, like, main villain type attitude. It's like a very spiritual analysis to try to comprehend like the internal racist machinations of a fucking billionaire, when the main purpose of that racial agitative propaganda is basically to reinforce the fundamental white supremacist values that society was built on, with the express purpose of dividing the working class. Okay? That's it. It doesn't matter if they're individually racist or not. There's no reason to moralize it. Okay? There's no reason to look at that and moralize it and try to fucking figure out who's like personally actually racist, who's not. Like, none of it matters. When we're talking about systemic issues, when we're talking about like what role extremely wealthy people play and why they fund conservative propaganda, what you need to understand is it doesn't matter what their fucking personal opinions are. Okay? What matters is that this is a very valuable tool to keep the working poor divided.
The issue that I have with many in the conservative side of this sphere is the fundamental misleading and dishonesty. That's what I have a problem with. And you see that here as this story took place. Kind of it started right where we released this video. We didn't, and it was just by design, didn't name names because there could be a litany of contracts that are similar to this. A lot of them are often verbal offers.
We mentioned it could have been Fox News for all anyone knew, and they're the corporate monolith.
There's about 4 or 5. I would say we have 4 or 5 offers, and then there are other investors who come into the space who just want to dump in a whole bunch of money. Daily Wire here outed themselves, and I understand that people are saying, well, people knew who it was. Well, that's because some of the people who were under those contracts said, yeah, I recognize those contracts. And Candace said on this show, I recognize the terms from my contract. Here's the thing. I said this is wrong. Penalizing conservatives, and I believe this to my absolute core, penalizing conservatives on behalf of big tech while taking money from people who are paying you, investing in you to fight big tech. That is what they're investing in. That is what Mug Club is investing in. That's what subscribers are investing in.
It's awesome. He's just like, dude, you come to me because I tell you all the fucking dumb shit. I'm a dumb guy, and I'm telling you the most racist bullshit that you can fucking hear, okay? And you want to hear more of that. And big tech is so against it, dude. They're so against it. So, hey, you just got to, sometimes I'm going to get banned, so you got to go to my Mug Club to get all the OnlyClans content, I paywalled it. It's got to do it.
While simultaneously penalizing conservatives is fundamentally wrong. I had that conversation and said, look, just please give me your word. You're not going to be doing this with other people who, as you well know, when you start in this industry, don't know better. Immediately after that, right, the conversation was, Crowder is making a big deal as a dick about money, right, basketball money. $50 million a year was the implication, which you know is not true. People aren't saying that now. That's not what people have a problem with.
Yeah, because people are stupid. Like, the entire audience is like conditioned to the dumbest person in the room. The entire audience is geared toward, like, the conservative movement is geared towards the dumbest guy you know. Okay? So, of course, when you're saying dumb shit, like when you're dumbing down your fucking racist agitprop to a degree where, like, it gets so out of hand that you get banned for it, right? And you can't do the dog whistles like Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro or even Tim Pool or Tucker Carlson, who's the dog whistle master, right? You will get benefits from it. You get a lot of benefits from it. Like Steven Crowder has an audience despite being a hack, right? Because a lot of people are fucking stupid. But now that you've cultivated that audience, specifically of conservatives who are oftentimes very dumb, dumber than the average person, okay? You are, the other people that are usually using dog whistles are going to come across like they're disingenuous, okay? The other guys that only do dog whistles, well, they're disingenuous guys. They're not serious about the racism. They don't want to fucking put their money where their mouth is. Look at me. I'm the real guy. I'm the real dumb guy. I'm like you. I say the things you want to hear, and then I paywall the other juicy tidbits. Those guys, though, they're not real with it.
People have a problem with, I understand, is the idea of a phone call. And now the narrative has shifted to betrayal of a friend. That's what people want to say. I say last straw. I say this is something that I've watched, experienced for years, tried to give every possible out to do the right thing, and have tried to do the right thing in the way that we run our own business. Saw the gaslighting, the bully tactics that take place behind the scenes of other creators, and knew it wouldn't be myself. So now the narrative shifts to how could you record a phone call, betray a friend? Well, hold on a second.
That was fucked up. Like, that was fucked up.
It was just about money. This is just business. And now it's, hey, we're really good friends. Well, which is it? I mean, you kind of have to pick a lane, right? Are we good friends, or are you sending out a boilerplate contract that you demand of everybody, according to what they say, that have 110% penalties on behalf of big tech? And the issue with that is that it's dishonest. It's a tactic of the left. It's a tactic, the same kind of tactic that you see from the left, the gaslighting, where if you, let me ask you this. If someone came out,
real quick.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify. You said 110% penalty?
Yeah, you can see the contract right there. If you add them all up.
So
because there's boycott penalty,
or what?
Yeah.
It's a fair point.
Yeah. And this is the issue. I made it clear it wasn't about.
This is the part that I love personally about the contract, because like he has every right to basically say, dog, you're hiring me to be racist. Why would you penalize me for being racist and then fucking getting clapped for it? It's literally a funding vehicle for the right to go overboard, get banned, and then push people to a fucking paywall where you can be as unhinged as you want. Okay, he would never say that. Yeah, of course he's not going to say that, but I do understand why he's mad. I do get why he gets upset at that clause, for sure. But like, this could have been discussed over the phone, where in a secret conversation, not a recorded one, where Jeremy Boring was probably going to tell him, hey, listen, you just got to dial it back a little bit. You're too overboard. We love your shit. We love how racist you get. It's cool. Just don't go overboard. That's it. Just like, don't get banned. That's it. We need you as a propaganda mouthpiece, but when you get banned, we don't have that propaganda mouthpiece any longer. Like, getting banned, maybe, you know what? Fuck it. We'll make concessions. Okay? We'll let you get banned once a quarter. Okay? A quarterly ban for you, which will immediately boost our mug club numbers, and that's fine. But just once a quarter. Keep it to a quarter,
It's about.
This is literally the professional conservative media version of like telling Kanye West to not say I love Hitler, please. Okay? This is the exact same conversation. It's just basically telling Steven Crowder, you can be as racist as you want, just don't get fucking banned, stupid.
Other people. It's about this being the fundamental practice. And by the way, it's not just Daily Wire, to be clear. This happens in this incestuous sphere across the board. What would you do? This is my question.
Real quick, let me ask. My concern is, if people aren't familiar with the total context, you leave the Blaze, or in the process of, you're fielding offers. Mm-hmm. You receive a contract.
A term sheet, not a contract.
Yes,
which people are semantically
a predecessor to a contract, but
which is basically the terms they're offering for a contract.
Right.
Some people have argued, but the point is, they basically said you will be penalized 25% if you get a strike.
No, if you're demonetized.
If you're demonetized.
Then another 20% if there's a strike. Then another 20%, I don't remember the numbers for Facebook, for Spotify, but there's also another penalty if your sponsors get boycotted. There's also another penalty if you don't agree to 10%, if you deny 10% of the sponsors, which is probably like you, we probably accept 1 out of 5 sponsors. But let me just kind of go through this timeline really quickly. Go ahead.
For people who are trying to understand what's going on, it's basically the contract you received specifically outlined
term
YouTube.
sheet.
The term sheet you received.
I don't know if it matters.
Said YouTube.
You don't put something in a term sheet that you don't want in a contract.
Right.
Nope.
It said YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and Facebook.
Yeah.
Specifically, if these big tech companies are upset with you, we dock your pay.
Yes.
That's an important distinction.
Hold on. And not even dock his pay. I want to be very clear here. This is a production house. This is our budget that gets docked. Steven is not just taking... This is not basketball where you pay Kyrie Irving to go out and shoot hoops, right?
Sure.
You're paying an entire team of people to produce.
Before we get to like the finances,
let's go through the timeline.
Let me ask you this. If someone publicly was going, and by the way, I'm not going to be doing the personal stuff. I'm not going to be coming in here calling anybody a bitch, right? Sending out hatchet people. I understand why Candace was mad. Honestly, I understand why she was.
He's like, we watched this part last night in between Valo sessions, which you guys all missed out if you don't watch me play Valorant, because I'm doing commentary in between as well. But this is where he's like, I'm not going to say Candace Owens is a bitch, but she is a bitch. Watch.
I'd probably be mad too.
I will imply it.
I don't think it gives you an excuse to go and talk the way like every girl does who gets their husband into a fight at a bar, but I understand why she was upset. if you had the ability, if someone's going out saying, "Hey, you're a difficult person who only cares about the money, and that you're a bitch," and you had the opportunity to clear your name because it was verifiably untrue, which now no one is arguing, would you do it? How else would people switch from it was about a $50 million salary to recording a phone call? Do we allow it when James O'Keefe does it? Is it only when corruption is on the side of the left? And here's the issue: I'll tell you who this hurts. The dishonesty. I'm not just saying Daily Wire. This is about the entire movement as a whole. There are a lot of practices that go on, and it hurts the sponsors, hurts the creators, hurts the viewers, hurts the investors. And by investors with us, it's entirely Mug Club. It's people who pay to subscribe. We don't make a dime off of YouTube. We haven't for many years. And it hurts if you believe what we say we believe, the movement in the country as a whole. So that right there, is fundamentally dishonest. And the gaslighting still keeps taking place. Candace Owens on this show said, hey, we all follow the same guidelines, right? We all follow. Crowder does too. That's verifiably false. Now, so you can publicly audit this. We've had 4 strikes, right, since May, I think, 2021 to October 2022. One was the Mekhi Bryant. One was a sketch with Alex Jones. That one's guilty. One was
as charged.
One was him quoting the CDC. And by the way, none of this will get you in trouble because you can say this now. Him quoting the CDC.
I did, yeah.
Bringing up the CDC numbers on flu deaths for children versus COVID. And we were saying this is interesting science, right? That COVID kills more senior citizens, but for some reason it's significantly less lethal to young people, to infants. That science is accepted now, so you won't get a strike. But
it's so funny that they're mentioning it like this, as though that's the way that they described it. Okay? There's just no fucking shot. Oh, we were just mentioning the science. Motherfucker, you wouldn't know what science is if it bludgeoned you in the fucking dome, okay? He is such a fucking worm lord, dude. They always are like, oh, dude, we're just using the CDC information. Oh, like, come on, why? Like, oh, yeah.
But that was one of the strikes. The other was when we had Carrie Lake on in a gubernatorial election. 4. How many have taken place from Daily Wire? You guys, 0. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying it's a badge of honor. I'm not saying that it's a badge of honor to be...
No. Yeah, no. I'm not saying it's a badge of honor, but it's kind of a badge of honor.
Suspended. If they came out and said, look, we demand, as Jeremy said in his 55-minute video, we demand that all of our creators follow these rules that YouTube and Facebook set through punitive practices in mandating of our creators to do so. And Crowder's a little bit more of a rebel. You know what? He's been banned for 4 times. And that's not the same kind of... That's not a problem. The problem is saying that we all follow the same rules because so that's all publicly verifiable. Now, I could tell you guys that behind the scenes, I've had many conversations with senior YouTube executives who say, we might be able to get you remonetized if you kind of play ball like these guys, Daily Wire, and insert other people here. I could tell you that, but would you believe me? Or would I have to provide receipts? I could tell you that takes place. That hurts the creators.
So that's like, I believe that. That's a bizarre take, but I believe it to a certain degree. Because I know Steven Crowder has an account manager. Okay, he has an account manager. I know that. Like, that's as a part of his job is as a YouTube content creator. There is an account manager associated with his account. Big enough YouTube content creator, of course. And no, not his dad. I'm saying like a person that works at YouTube manages his content. Okay, and like I'm sure that person's like, dude, please follow the standards and practices all the fucking time. They're like, please just, like, if you want to fucking make money on YouTube, just follow the goddamn rules. And he takes that conversation and he goes, wow, that's really fucking, you see that? It's big tech right here. Big tech right here, doing their thing. And I'm sure the account manager, Steven Crowder, is not exactly fond of him. You know what I mean? Because, like, constantly getting clapped up. Constantly fucking getting permanently demonetized. Because he's just a fucking asshole. And the account manager also has to toe this delicate line where they have to make sure that, like, you think their performance is tied to him? No. They have to manage his bitch ass while simultaneously understanding that, like, if he gets penalized too much, the entire might of the conservative legal infrastructure is going to come after YouTube because they do it all the time. They are the biggest cry bullies on the fucking planet. This is the reason why every single conservative outlet, platform, anything that touches the media or anything that touches like social media in general has a fat legal team of the worst lawyers you've ever seen on retainer whose entire job is to lose lawsuits. Okay? That's their entire job. They go out there and they hold up people with paperwork. They accrue millions of dollars of retainer fees on the other side as well. They're forcing all these platforms and everyone else to basically have also lawyers that are constantly fucking working on these legal issues that they hold them up with. They get special treatment for that reason, and then they still fuck up. They do it. They do it all the time. Like Rumble sues everybody, okay? They're constantly suing YouTube. They're always suing people under the guise of like defending free speech. And they have fat money lines, so it doesn't matter. They have billionaire investors that want them to do this. This is a great conversation to have. Just don't focus on billionaires stealing your, extracting your additional labor value, your surplus labor value. Focus on how YouTube is stopping you from saying the N-word instead. That's the real conversation. That's the conversation you should be having.
There's out there who they end up, hitting a glass.
To be honest, conservatives and the left are all huge crybabies. The world's a paradox. Good is bad for you and bad is good for you. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Dude, you're brilliant. You type that out, dude. You typed that shit out like an anime villain. You know what I mean? You fucking went... Psh. Yeah, there's crybabies everywhere, okay? Ultimately, though, you got to look at the cause, okay? If someone who is like, I don't know, supporting Palestinian lives is getting unjustifiably banned from a major platform, that's unacceptable. That's inappropriate. If someone is getting banned from a platform specifically because they're like advocating for police murdering more black people in the most horrifying ways possible, when there's plenty of content creators who are advocating to murder black people in the hands of the police, right? Ben Shapiro does it all the time. He just knows what not to say. Steven Crowder literally takes it to that extra step that ends up getting him banned. But the difference is the left has no organized strategy of like constantly holding up platforms under legal scrutiny. Okay? The left doesn't have deep billionaire investor pockets. That's the difference. All that shit on the left in independent media that is truly independent is absolutely funded by grassroots. That's why it's hilarious when conservatives say George Soros is like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? There is no leftist billionaire that has funded individual independent media operations, okay? That's not a thing. They have NGOs and whatnot, but that's firmly within the liberal media infrastructure. That doesn't touch independent media. In the same way that, like, even Jeffrey Epstein famously funded a fucking psychotic race realist guy. I forget his name. He's like the French-Canadian race realist guy. Like, even he, as a tiny, hyper-racist, far-right content creator on YouTube, was funded by Jeffrey Epstein. Like, think about that. No, not Molyneux, JF. Yeah, he got like 65 grand or something from Jeffrey Epstein. JF Garuppy, yeah. This guy is a race realist. He's like, race realism is like saying, trying to find false science to prove the biological factors that guide us. It's like bioessentialism, claiming that like if you're basically, it's a long way to try to say that you are, if you're black, you're just genetically inferior to white people. Like that guy got, and that's not a lie. I mean, that guy is a tiny ass fucking right-wing YouTube content creator. Why the fuck did that guy get 65 grand from Jeffrey Epstein? Because a lot of rich people love that shit. A lot of rich people have their own unique personal interest in that kind of stuff, like Jeffrey Epstein clearly did. Okay? Or they like the propaganda that people like Steven Crowder put out there.
Ceiling that is set, the sandbox that is mandated their creators. The same thing happens with sponsors.
Well, let me ask you real quick. What does that mean, play ball? Like, obviously you're paraphrasing, but...
Yeah, paraphrasing. Titles, subjects, not talk about this subject or not talk about it in this way.
Yeah.
Maybe soften, don't use these words. You know, maybe change this a little bit. This happens a lot right behind the scenes, and that makes it impossible for independent content creators. The same thing happens, by the way. So that's gaslighting that you see right there. We all follow the same rules. It was about money, then it's about a phone call. With sponsors, look.
But if I could ask you, did YouTube reach out to you and say, hey, do you want to play ball with us?
Yeah, we have conversations all the time with YouTube.
Got it.
Matter of fact, I can tell you that here's the thing. I'm not going to be providing receipts to people who don't want to be involved. Right? Yeah. There's a difference between single-party consent state and wiretapping. You don't rope people in who are victims, but if it's an entity that you believe is predatory, that's the difference. There are good people at YouTube. There are some good people there who want, but their hands are tied. And guess what? Everyone else's hands are tied. If you say, hey, we're all trying to fight this system that exists, but you're not. You're mandating that you exist within the system. Only one.
Are you worried you might get copy strike live again, or does that not apply to this show? That's such a weird question to ask, man. No, I don't think Tim Pool is going to copy strike me for doing commentary over his video. I don't know. Like, maybe I'm too hyper aware of, like, haters out here, but, like, no, that's an insane thing to do. Only someone like Gavin McInnes, who just like doesn't give a fuck about being called a Nazi, would do that shit.
One person is saying, hey, you know what? If you want to be monetized and you don't, that's fine. And one is saying you have to.
Why is that a weird question? Because it's like, it's an odd question because it's like a known thing that people on YouTube don't do this. Same with Steven Crowder, same with Tim Pool, same with Ben Shapiro. It just, so it feels like it's coming from a place of like someone implying that I'm about to get copy striked or something. Oftentimes people ask that question and then go to Tim Pool and be like, hey, can you copy strike this guy live? This is not paywalled. This is just perfectly valid, fair use too. I'm like pausing and criticizing every aspect of this.
Fit into this box.
Very important context to this is, obviously, after you put out the first video, I've talked with a bunch of my friends, and they said, look, you know, Daily Wire's trying to run a business. If he gets banned off YouTube, how are they going to sell ads? How are they going to do the sponsorships? Where his views are gone.
Yeah.
And I've seen people tweet, all of Crowder's views come from YouTube anyway, so he'd basically be unmonetizable if he was banned. And then I point out, first of all, that's just categorically false.
Yeah, it's not true.
Because Rumble exists. And
Ben streamed there for the first time today.
And this is an important context. The contract you were offered says Facebook, Apple, I said YouTube, Apple, Facebook, Spotify, but it didn't mention any of your views from any other platforms. And there's Google Podcasts. They get views. I know the numbers. Obviously, it's not the same as Apple, but it's interesting to me that for a lot of people, like Dan Bongino, for instance, had more subscribers on Rumble than YouTube.
Yeah.
It's interesting then that their attitude is, if you're banned from YouTube, it's a 20% fee reduction, which you mentioned includes your staff
25.
salary. 25.
And then, 25 for and then another 20. It's 45.
Demonetization.
In other words, for us, right off the bat. And this is the thing. I said, like, is this an accident? Like, you know, in other words, okay, we're good.
But let me
friends.
just.
But hold on a second. Does anyone here have a problem? Do you not believe me when I say we haven't been monetized on YouTube for 3 years? You all know that, right?
Of course.
Literally,
and we're not that close.
0 days, or did you have?
So what happened is we were demonetized. How many years ago? Then someone accidentally remonetized us for like 4 months, and then demonetized. And then demonetized again. We were like, "What happened?" And they were like, "Yeah, actually, no, sorry, you're demonetized again." I was like, "Well, skunked again."
So what did we do to get monetized, basically?
So if you get demonetized on YouTube so much and it makes no money for you, why don't you just like take all of your content to Rumble? What could be the reason why you still want to stay on YouTube when you very clearly have this alternative bastion of conservative ideas, you know, this free speech only space, as a matter of fact? So what's up with that? Why is it these guys are always on big tech when they have created alternatives to big tech? Is it perhaps because little tech, if you want to call it that, is not real? There's no real reach there? Because it's so odd that they try to always justify, like, Rumble's fucking sweet. I mean, I got more subscribers on Rumble than anything else. I mean, I'm fucking killing it on Rumble. It's like, then why aren't you just on Rumble? If there was a platform that routinely banned me, okay, and I had an alternative to that platform that was even larger, like TikTok. I get banned on TikTok regularly, right? But I also understand the awesome power that TikTok has with respect to reach, which is part of the reason why I don't want to fucking get banned on TikTok. It's major exposure. It's major reach. Okay? So I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, that's why, fuck Twitter, I'm going to Mastodon. Like, no, fuck that shit. Of course I'm not going to Mastodon. Of course I'm going to stay on fucking Twitter. Do you see what I'm saying? These guys act like, Rumble is the actual competitor to YouTube, and it's actually huge. Meanwhile, they also personally understand, they recognize that it's all botted to hell. It's not real views, which is why they try to stay desperately on YouTube.
Of course they get an answer, right?
I want to make sure this point is made clear for everybody, because this is a very important part of the argument when I heard it. Mm-hmm. If the point is you can't sell ads or build an audience because YouTube banned you and that's it, but you're getting 85% or more views on Rumble, the question is, why no penalty for getting banned from Rumble? Why is Rumble not a consideration in the contract?
Yeah, if you're getting 85% or more views on Rumble, that's a good question. Maybe you should double down on that question and ask yourself that question and go, what's up? Why do you want to stay on YouTube then? I wonder why no penalty on getting banned on Rumble. Well, one, because you'll never get banned on Rumble. And two, Rumble doesn't matter. It's not real. But Tim can't say that. You want to know why? Because he's on Rumble. Because every conservative has to maintain this lie that, like, Rumble is real. Rumble is a real platform. It's actually a really good YouTube competitor. Meanwhile, I'm willing to bet they spend the majority of their fucking funds after, obviously, video hosting services. The majority of Rumble's funds probably go to legal, specifically so that they can turn around and fucking consistently fucking battle the free speech fighters like YouTube. That's it. Like, what would they have? Like, no advertisers whatsoever. All their advertisers are like dog shit, like Truth Social advertisers, selling fucking gold and shit. And Iraqi dinars. Okay, that's the only thing you're getting
at all. And why don't they simply say comparable views instead of the platform? Right. Like, if for every 1 million views per day you lose, we dock you X%.
I can answer you that question exactly, because
so what
it's fundamental to the business model. And I was informed of that. It is fundamental. In other words, there are plenty of options out there, right? He can tell you. I get excited when I walk out of them and go, hey, how many people were tuning in live on YouTube? How many on Rumble? They go, oh, it's tipped. There are more people on Rumble. Sure, I've been on YouTube for a long time, since 2006. But it doesn't mean that they don't change, right? And the issue is, I think it's a great thing to use these platforms. There's a huge difference, by the way, between being monetized and being on the platform. Yeah. But ultimately, if we believe what we say, we have to be trying to get to the point where we know that fast forward 5 years, you can't speak the truth on YouTube, certainly not if you want to be monetized. But there's this jockeying for position with people who they see as competition. And the issue here that I've always made clear is the locking in of these punitive contracts that mandate and enforce big tech policies and guidelines as a matter of business. And that hurts creators. And the same thing, by the way, when we're talking about misleading practices with sponsors. There's no problem, right? And this is all publicly verifiable. I want you guys to be able to audit this so that there don't have to be as many receipts provided. You market your channel, right? I think we probably have some ads running right now, like Spotify, like, hey, if you like this show, tune in on Spotify. Yeah. But there's a big difference. We know that there's a huge problem in our industry of pay to play. Now, you can do that. That's fine if you want to grow your numbers. But
what is that?
So pay to play means that you can buy views, right? You can pay to play. You can run your video as a pre-roll ad, and people see that number. But really, a lot of them are 14-second views, 8-second views, but it still clicks that counter. The closest apples-to-apples comparison that you could do right now is you could go out and take, like, let's say, not this controversy because there's cross-pollination, but Ben Shapiro's a huge show. Of course he is. But go take some videos there right now that have 1 million plays. Go month after month. Take a bunch of them. Look at the likes. Look at the comments. Take videos from my channel. It's a comparable place. Take them with 800,000, 600,000 plays because we've converted them a lot to Rumble. Look at the likes, look at the comments. It's startling because it's a lot easier to buy plays than it is to buy likes and comments. That's not a problem.
Well, are you saying that the Daily Wire is buying views for their content?
I'm saying that they run the videos. This happens not just Daily Wire, to be clear. Stop Big Con is designed because it's an entire industry. And what happens is, yes, these views get inflated. There's nothing wrong with running ads to increase the video count. The problem is this. When that is used to then go out and
I mean, he's not wrong. They do that. They 100% do that. A big chunk of advertising revenue goes back into inflating fucking view counts on YouTube. It is hilarious to turn around and act like you can't view bot Rumble though, when it's infinitely easier to just view bot a website like Rumble. It is funny though to think about, like these major conservative commentators, like they buy millions and millions of dollars of ads of their own content specifically to make it seem like their content is being viewed by more people.
and set sponsorship rates. And then this is what happens with creators. When you sit down with sponsors, and these are hard-earned dollars, right? A lot of them are mid-sized companies. You run them on this show and they say, yeah, but you know what? We didn't get our money's worth, and this person is the #1 show, because they go out and they say that they have these numbers, and they set what happens? They drop those rates across the board, which hurts everybody, or they pull out altogether. Now, you can publicly verify that information.
Yeah, this practice is very commonplace, and it's done all the time in every avenue of media, by the way. But one of the grossest and very obvious, transparent ways that they do it is the New York Times bestseller list. Everybody wants to be on the New York Times bestseller list. So what do conservatives do? They will literally write a book. Step 1, write a book. Step 2, get conservative lobbyists to purchase like thousands and thousands and thousands of copies of said books that will never be read by a human being, okay? They're just rotting in a goddamn basement somewhere. Ultimately, there's pallets of these fucking books sitting in basements somewhere in D.C., but doesn't matter. Now it's on the New York Times bestseller list. Don Jr. did this. Every single person did this. Every single conservative that has made it to the bestseller list has always purchased done this exact same thing. I know this is off topic, so my bad if this is inappropriate, but do you plan to cover Cop City sometime, or have you already? Yes, I covered it yesterday. Extensively.
Now, I could tell you guys that I've had conversations with sponsors that say, we're not going to be running in the conservative space because it's just not as effective as we thought it was, or you know what, we're going to be pulling out. And content creators just say, why am I getting these low advertising rates? Here's the issue. If you're some kid, and by kid I mean, you know, you could be a 40-year-old with a smaller podcast. Let's say you get 250,000 plays. Not as big, but good numbers. Let's say you get 500,000.
Another way that conservative Big Con makes money is speaking engagements, which is why they always like go after Hillary Clinton and shit, which is understandable. Hillary Clinton does that shit too. Speaking engagements is another way to like funnel funds, additional funds into like conservative speakers. Every college campus, some of them will literally double you. Like alumnus will double the speaking engagement money that like a particular group is able to pay for Ben Shapiro. He's getting fucking paid like $75,000, and then also getting another 75 on top of that from the alumnus, the right-wing conservative alumni of that institution. They do it all the time. That's also another way that they are constantly churning out more money. Always. And they don't even, why would alumni do that? What do you mean? They're conservative and they like Ben Shapiro, and they think, perhaps foolishly, or perhaps they don't even give a fuck, that like Ben Shapiro coming to campus will actually change young minds and shape them and turn them conservative. You know this. Like Charlie Kirk specifically was outed as someone who kept getting money from old conservatives like Foster Freeze and then dumping all of those funds back into ads on Facebook. And the ads were being seen by like 75 plus. His target demographic on Facebook of Turning Point USA, an institution that is supposed to be there specifically for the younger generation of conservatives, to create the younger generation of conservatives. Their ads were targeting 75-year-olds on Facebook. Why? Why were they targeting 65 to 75-year-olds on Facebook if their goal is to change the minds of the youth? That's how they do it. It's just like, it's a grift. PragerU has inflated views. Daily Wire has inflated views because they have a shitload of funds that they claim is for marketing. And what are they marketing? Just their own videos. That's why every single one of my fucking videos on my YouTube is accompanied by like a Matt Walsh ad, okay? Meanwhile, on Twitch, there's a top of the hour ad break that comes, and that's 3 minutes long, and that's usually like the Marine Corps or some shit. But fear not, you can avoid those ads as long as you subscribe for $5 or for free. That's right, Twitch Prime is free. Hassan's Pit Crew Chief. Thank you for the 5 get the subs. Award7, thank you for the 5 get the subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads. Thank you, MP Sharky, for the 5 get the subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. You can avoid the ads as well that way. You can avoid them by getting gifted a sub. The Raging Hoppa, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Hassan Viewbots, no one here even likes gaming. Brother, if you think I viewbot it, why wouldn't I viewbot while I'm gaming? I would literally just consistently keep a 30K audience. If I knew how to do a viewbot, I would just viewbot while I'm gaming, and no one would know any. No one would be wise to that. They would think, oh wow, like I mean, he has 40K normally. He has 40K normally, so he just has 30K when he's gaming. That would be normal. Can't do that because nobody would believe that people won't leave when you start playing Valor. I just don't like that you guys make a mockery of this, okay? You just... another reminder that you don't give a shit about me or the content that I'm trying to make, and just like you're just here for the news, you know? Fake fans, dude.
Place are good numbers, but they're real. And you are a conservative.
It is what it is,
and you're trying to grow this. And then all of a sudden, your content, YouTube is saying, can't say that, can't do that because of the box that's being created by all of these companies in big conservatism. And then you're trying to make it. Right? You're trying to make it something that is financially solvent, and you can't because sponsors no longer have faith in this side of the industry. That is something that hurts those creators. And this is something that, so the creators are hurt, the sponsors are hurt, the viewers are hurt because I just want to finish this one, and then any questions you have. The viewers are hurt because they feel isolated. They feel like their views are not represented, right? They go, hold on a second, I'm conservative. Why are none of the top people saying whatever it is? X, Y, Z. And the investors are hurt. And I don't mean billionaires. In our case, it's people who invest when they sign up for Mug Club. They are paying us because they say, we know that you're demonetized. We know that you don't run nearly as many sponsors. You're very selective. And we think we are giving you our dollar in faith because we think that you are fighting for us. Imagine.
Yeah, 35K viewers, 70K faces. You're right. That's not true. There's the Valo Lovers Coalition is growing in this community, which I don't even know if I don't even know if that's a good thing or not, to be honest, but it has grown a lot. No, it's not. Yes, it has. Well, how would you know, you fucking idiot? You're not even, if you're saying this, that means you're not even in here while it's happening. So how would you even know? motherfuckers would be like, nah, no, it's not growing because I leave every time. I'm like, okay, but so then you have no idea. You don't even pretend to watch, dude.
Let me give you one final parallel world there. Imagine if we left the Blaze.
Anyway, we're done with the valid discourse.
And this,
stupid.
again, the issue is that everyone is demanded to sign these exact same contracts. That's what they said. They've been very, very clear about that. It's just business. Imagine if Mug Club leaves the Blaze. And let's say we come back 2-3 months, okay? And we come back, and all of a sudden, I don't talk about vaccines in the way that I used to. All of a sudden, I don't talk about election integrity like I used to. All of a sudden, I don't host Carrie Lake in the same way that I used to, or host her at all. And all of a sudden, all the parodies, the sketches, the sweeping epic, like a parody of Saving Private Ryan, or There Will Be Blood, or Schindler's List, whatever it is, you don't see any, change my mind, you don't see any of those anymore, but you see 4 or 5 live reads. I'd be the definition of a sellout. And I would be selling out the people who paid for something different. Only one group of people here is saying, you have to fit into this box. I'm saying, you got to let some people let the freak flag fly. I don't care if you want to be monetized or not. Don't lock people and punish them on behalf of big tech when you claim that you are fighting them. And it is everywhere. And it's disheartening.
Like, as stupid as this conversation is, as silly, like, there's numerous different things that I want to say about this. One, I don't think that Steven Crowder has a genuine interest here, okay? I think he has a secondary interest, or rather a real interest here. And that interest is he wants to build an email list for himself. He saw how much money Alex Jones is making. He saw how much money everyone else is making when they're independent. He knows that, like, if he has an email list for himself, that's the way. That's the way to go. Okay? He just wants to run up the numbers, and he wanted to be controversial, and he wanted to eat away at some people's audiences. The other stupid part of this conversation, though, is not that he's also disingenuous, but he's also fucking simultaneously complaining about, like, being, I don't know. Why are email lists so powerful? You can sell it to political operatives. And also, an email list is powerful because it's membership. He basically wants to create his own membership, because Mug Club was under the Blaze. So the Blaze was getting all the fucking revenue. He was getting a kickback probably. So he wants to make his own. He wants to get his own. What the fuck? Why is Ludwig calling me? I'm streaming, bro. What the fuck? Wait, what? I'm live.
Oh, you're streaming. Fuck yeah,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'll talk to you after, or maybe later if you want to play Valorant.
I'm flying to my mother's house because she's turning 60. God bless her heart, but maybe another day.
Yeah, I already wished her a happy birthday.
You're such a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit.
No, she appreciated it. All right.
Yeah, I bet.
All right. Have a good one. I mean, that's a classic. I had to do it. That's a classic. It was really funny when he said 0-3, and then he was bottom fragging. He was underneath me after shitting on me like that. Anyway, I love Ludwig. He was calling to ask about Japan, which I will be going, but most likely not with him. Have you been approached by Democrats? Don't think you have an email list? Just asking? No, dude. Why the fuck would the Democrats approach me? The Democrats are like, we really want a list of people who, like, absolutely fucking despise the Democratic Party. I don't even have an email list. But I genuinely fucking, first of all, the Democrats as a party are absolutely aware of my existence, are aware of this community. That would be weird if they weren't. Even they are not that oblivious. There are plenty of young staffers who are in here, I know for a fact. There are plenty of people who work within the Democratic Party's infrastructure that are in here regularly. I know that for a fact. We even have like famous ex-community members like H. Bizzle 13, who I think is just the RP head now, so he doesn't really show up that much. But I know that Democrats are aware and are not interested in having a conversation with me in any capacity. I mean, I've helped them out before, like the Raphael Warnock team. I've helped them out in the past, but I know that they are aware, but they don't want to have a public relationship or even like want anything to do with me, because when Joe Brandon became president and they were trying to do outreach for the vaccine for the youth, they told Twitch that they did not want to. They did not want Anthony Fauci to come on my stream. Like specifically, they were like, no. You've worked with the DSA, right? Yes, of course, all the time.
I'll tell you a story. I think the people who have watched my content consistently know about this. It was called some refer to it as ad rights sales, ad rights buying. Back in the early 2010s, these up and coming digital media outlets would sell the rights. What they would do is they would buy the rights to views. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're a company called like badbehavior.com. You know, some word that represents people.
Why'd you pick one that is clearly going to direct people to hardcore pornography?
Yeah. All right, let's just say
Goodbehavior.com.
Yeah. Skittles and Rainbows website, okay? And
same.
Big okay.
Bodacious M&M's website.
Right.
Yeah,
Let's say you're a big brand and you get about 30 million views per month.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to cut it. You can sell a premium idea. There would be these low-tier websites. You've seen them before. You'll see an ad and it'll say, guess what this celebrity looks like now. You click it. Mm-hmm. And then it'll say, here's the celebrity throughout 25 years. And every photo has 50 ads. And you click next and it loads a new page with 50 ads. What they're doing is harvesting views.
Right.
So then this website that nobody knows the name of, nobody visits, tricks you into collecting a view. They then sell the rights to those views to a premium network. The premium network then goes to advertisers and says, our network gets 200 million views per month. Right. And if you advertise with us, you are in that network. And in reality, you only get 30, but they bought the rights to those
meanwhile,
ads.
there's some kid who's actually getting 10 million views, right? Meanwhile, there's some kid, and he doesn't get the same advertiser rates because he gets burned. And then those kids drop out. Does anyone ever wonder why the burnout rate is so high in this industry? There are so many good people. I mean, you can go back to when I was on PJTV in 2009. People who I worked with, good, solid people who, by the way, had skin in the game, who had a lot to lose. And you'll never hear from them again because they just go, I'm out. They get dis.
I didn't realize there was a right-wing media figure burnout happening, dude. Oh man, it is pretty funny that like Steven Crowder is all about workers' rights now, when he is reminded that he is the worker here in this moment.
Disenfranchised. They get disenchanted.
And the autonomy he's referencing is not even about like benefits or compensation. It's about the right to be racist. I'm losing it.
And that's the issue. Look, it doesn't affect me. I'll be fine either way. But we've always talked about building a bench, and I've always talked about wanting to be able to pass the torch. It's not possible to do this way. And by the way you know this is true is right now I have said I don't want to do this. Again, I've been thinking about this for a long time, trying to work behind the scenes, trying to work within the system until I realized there's just no interest in doing it that way. And then you say, okay, is our move, this is why we lose. Conservatives wonder, what the hell, with the midterms, what the hell happened?
Like, none of this shit makes any fucking sense, dude. You're anti-worker. Like, most of your fucking commentary revolves around being anti-worker. It doesn't make sense if you're like, if you're trying to like change the Daily Wire from the outside, like, just do your own thing. I don't get it. Like, you're like, I don't like the funding mechanism of Daily Wire being over-reliant on like YouTube and not being banned off YouTube. They should use a better way to fund themselves so they can be as racist as they want to. without YouTube, while simultaneously everybody in the fucking process understands that YouTube still has the largest audience. If that was the fucking case, then you would never go on YouTube. You just be on Rumble. But nobody wants to be on Rumble because everybody fucking understands that Rumble is fake. It's fake views. They need the real audience. And the real audience is on YouTube. So, of course, they're going to want to fucking maintain their prominence on YouTube. Yeah, I saw this one last night. This shit was fucking bananas. I made fun of this already.
Why do you think? Why do you think people like Lindsey Graham, like Mitch McConnell, nothing personal against them, why do you think that there are people out there and you go, how do they not get voted out? Why do you think these are our decisions for speaker? These are our choices. Why do you think you constantly lose? Because the people who really do want to be the vanguard at the cutting edge, they burn out and they leave because they can't compete against it. And that's the issue.
I got to tell you, man, I make this point all the time where I just say, for all the people who are claiming I'm a grifter or I only want money and that I don't really believe the things I'm fighting for, I'm like, it would be so much easier to sell everything, shut it all down, and just buy some properties, rent them out, and not have to worry about it.
Again, while I was playing Valorant, this was the part where we were watching, and I loved this take because, like, remember, I always say it would be infinitely easier to be a right-wing grifter. I would make so much more fucking money. Notice how he doesn't say I would just grift for the left. I would just quit and become a landlord. It's so much easier to be a landlord, which is true. Being a landlord is pretty easy. Okay? But you understand that, right? Like, you get why right-wingers don't turn around and say, oh, yeah, it would be so much easier if I was a left-wing commentator. I would just become a left-wing grifter commentator and then, cultivate an audience of fucking unhinged weirdos that are going to yell at you for every little thing and exist and operate in a space where you're trying to cultivate an audience that's broader of unhinged weirdos that are constantly fucking woke scolding and like seeing you in the absolute worst lens possible, despite the fact that they adore you or have adored you in the past and have given you money because they think your commentary is good and valid, and yet they still turn around and are insanely uncharitable. Nobody wants that. Nobody fucking wants an audience full of mentally ill, uncharitable freaks. Okay? You do this for the love of the game. That's why you do it. You do it because you love what you're actually stating. You don't do grifting on the left because, okay, here's the reality. It's much harder to cultivate an audience when you're on the left. That's precisely why so many of these motherfuckers that were like, I'm a leftist, are all now doing MAGA, I love Russia, I want to suck Putin's cock type conservatism. Okay? I'm not talking about Crowder anymore, and I'm not talking about fucking Tim Pool. There is no money in shitting on the pre-existing systems. There is a lot of money just making people feel comfortable, like, oh, your existence is actually normal. This is just how this is great. The systems are fine. We're in a profoundly we've had technological achievements that make life so much easier. You just have a burger and you can watch your favorite TV show and everything's good, everything's fine, and that the police actually are defending you. I find it interesting that Hasan is basically making the "you are so uncharitable to me" immediately argument to us that XG made to him at the finale of their last big drama spate. I mean, you're just, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what kind of commentary I can provide to this person who can only see interactions through the lens of Twitch drama. You know what I mean? We're having an entirely different conversation right now. Motherfucker brought Twitch drama when I'm talking about how grifting operates in the political commentary space and how so many examples of supposedly leftist commentators who ultimately turn right. Why do they do that? There are very few examples of like right-wing people who turn left, I guess. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for two reasons. One, because there's no money there. And two, people will never find you. People will never be charitable to you. Okay, they will just never be charitable to you. If you're right wing at a certain point, people will not turn around and be like, "Oh yeah, well, I genuinely think that you're like a actual, authentic, charitable left wing person."
Any of this?
Take money and shut up.
Yeah.
Right?
Take money and shut up. But it's not about what's easy.
Yeah.
It's about what matters.
Yeah. And by the way, we want you guys to make money. We want every conservative
Yes.
in this space to run a profitable business. That's what I run. I own a
I
wine
saw your
business.
Manuka honey back there.
Yeah, exactly. We want people to make as
We got the
much
good
money
stuff.
as humanly possible, but do it honestly. And just be honest with people about how you're going to spend that money as well.
Well, there's the
no
issue
problem.
too. Again, where you're talking about honesty. Is it just friends or is it just business? You kind of have to pick one. Is it a lash out or is it premeditated? You kind of have to pick one.
Thanks for watching this clip from the